we can just do our little rule here. That's what the triangle means, is do our little rule, and out comes Parliament. Now it's not necessarily Parliament, we could also get the Queen out of it because it says P and Q are both true, so we can say P is true and we can say Q is true, so P or Q is also true. So you're going to write all these rules down. You just pause the video and make sure you get a good copy of it, and put these on your corkboard next to your computer there. Just gaze at them sometimes. Okay, here we have a conditional introduction. The conditional is a horseshoe. The conditional introduction, sometimes I've seen it as an arrow pointing one way, which is more intuitive, but our text is using a horseshoe, so we're just going to use it as a horseshoe. So the conditional introduction, here's how you're going to introduce a conditional, and this is not a good explanation. I know all this is floating, but this is just the rules video. This is just the rules for reference. You just have to copy these and gaze at them. And here's our general thing, and our rule is going to be carried out down here. But in order to introduce our introduction, we have to show in a hypothetical syllogism on the side here. I don't know if that's the correct term. In a hypothesis on the side, we say if. And we just hypothesize P. And then if we can show logically with the rules from what's above and from our universe that Q follows, if that's true, if we can actually do that, then at the bottom we can say if P, then Q. And we can introduce our conditional. If we can prove that. So what you do is you just, you're going through your lines and you say, oh, what if I assume P? What can I do with that? And you find you can get Q. So then you can do if P, then Q. And it doesn't prove that P happens. It only proves that if P does happen, Q happens. So we'll do next, of course, the conditional elimination. Conditional elimination is a simpler rule. If P occurs, then Q occurs. If Parliament remains in power, the Queen will remain in power. And we also find that Parliament remains in power. And that's our universe of discourse. What can we say from that? We can say the Queen remains in power. We know it does because we cite this line and we cite this line and we get this. The Queen remains in power, and that's eliminating a conditional, taking a conditional out and getting our thing. Now in order to get this conditional eliminated, you have to have the first item of the conditional. Therefore, a conditional elimination always gets you the second item. That's just the nature of the rule. Okay, next we do the negation introduction. Okay, our next rule being the negation introduction, tilde I, the tilde is the negation in formal logic. This is the introduction of a negation. We're going to have here our usual universe with our usual rule being carried out at the bottom. We're going to state, as usual, what we need for the rule, and this is the assumption that we have to go through to get what we need. So this assumption is going to contain three terms. We're going to assume P. We're going to show that Q follows from P. And we're going to show also that Q does not follow from P. You got that? We're going to show that Q obtains, and we're going to show that Q fails. Now, by the basis of Aristotelian logic, we know you cannot have a contradiction. Therefore, we know P cannot obtain. P must fail, or else there would be a contradiction in the universe. So then we can introduce our tilde, not P. So anytime you can prove a contradiction, you can introduce a tilde. And you would just put that out to the side here, tilde I, like that. Next we'll do the elimination of that tilde. Okay, the negation elimination is just the opposite of the other rule. The other rule would just have the letter P here. Now we have tilde P. And if we can prove that if tilde P, if P fails, then Q will obtain and Q will fail, if we can prove that, then we know that P must obtain. And we can eliminate that tilde, just take it out of there. We'll just make a little note over here, tilde elimination, and then we would cite our lines, these lines here. So it's negation, elimination. Okay, next we have the disjunction rules. And the disjunction is simply the statement or. And first we're going to do, of course, the disjunction introduction. To introduce a disjunction, which is titled this, is a V, we're going to assume in our world the following. We're just going to say we have P occurs. We cite the fact that P occurs. And watch this. We carry out our rule, and our rule allows us to do this. P or Q occurs. And now here to the side we would say disjunction introduction. Now this is a little confusing sometimes to some people, because they say, where did you get Q from? And the answer is